Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. And now, welcome to hour number 3 of the line. Talk 995, talk995.com. Andrew, McLeanWho.com. John Bird, I've sent him a couple suggestions. He's going to mull over some of the ones I've given, and maybe within the next hour he'll let me know
Yeah.
which one he feels the best about.
Yeah, because I got to get busy.
Yeah. So you just give me a heads up over the next few on how you feel
Gotcha.
on those. Mandu, speaking of feels, how you feels physically. This is what Mandu's about. It's about how you feel physically. And we often talk about just generally getting in shape and building muscle and losing weight and all that kind of stuff. But I cannot stress to you guys that have other issues going on, and it could be your blood pressure, it could be, joint pain, it could be disc, slip disc in your back that you've been dealing with for years and years. Mandu can make all of the difference. I'll give you a perfect example, and you can try this for yourself. Let's say people with bad backs. Had this conversation with my buddy Pawpaw out of North Carolina. He's not my Pawpaw, but he's just an old guy we call Pawpaw. He was down in his back over the weekend, and I said, listen, here's what I want you to do. Instead of taking your ibuprofens and your medicines and your painkillers and all that kind of stuff that's not working, I want you to go to Walgreens and get a TENS unit. Yes, one of those things that we once shocked John Bird's taint with, a TENS unit. And it comes with a couple pads and everything. I take those pads and stick them right there on your back where your back hurts. And just turn it up as far as you can stand. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just give it some juice. And let that sit. Just let it do its magic. Feels like a vibration. It's electric pulses, but it doesn't feel like you're being shocked. It's like a vibration. I said, when you do that, and I can testify to this, when you do that, that will ease, if not all the way eliminate your back pain. Because there's something about the electronic muscle stimulation, and I'm not going to pretend to be a healthcare provider or a scientist. There's something about it that eases pain in a way that even your ibuprofens and your Tylenols can't attack. And so when you have a whole body EMS deal going on, it can literally solve a lot of those aches and pains that you deal with. So that's Mandu. And all the while, you're getting in shape, you're building muscle, you're losing weight. It's a life-changing thing that is unlike anything else on the market. So I want you to try it. I've been dedicated to it for a long time. You got a free session. Try it absolutely free by going to the website, mandu.com, MANDUU.com. 3 locations, Homewood, Huntsville, and Tuscaloosa. We've got listeners all over the place, so you guys go to any of those locations you want to go to. Sign up, get you a free session, and then decide what you want to do after that. If it's something you want to do long-term, something you want to do short-term, it's up to you. Just try it first and then make that decision. So all the information's on the website, mandu.com, MANDUU.com. Now, I've been promoting this for the entire show. I actually started the show with this, and I mentioned we were going to have him on at some point, and I knew that it might be difficult because today is election day, and if you are a candidate running for any office on election day, you kind of got your hands full. You're running around, you're shaking hands, you're kissing babies, you're talking to people, trying to get them to get out to vote. But we have been lucky enough at this point to be able to get one of the candidates for governor of Alabama on the Democrat ticket on the show. You've heard all about him. It is Jermaine Brown. Jamel, what's up, buddy? Thanks for calling, man.
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
We're good. We're just hanging out, interested to see how all of this plays out. I think it's going to be fascinating. And I got to say that we have talked a lot about you on the show because, as I told you last night, you are a once in a lifetime political candidate in the state of Alabama. I don't think anybody else can argue that.
Yes.
And
Uh,
it's been a wild campaign. I'm sure you could agree.
yes. I'm being honest with you, and I was just telling my pastor, and I ride around with my brother. I'm not going to disclose his name due to his job, but he has been rocking with me since day one when I first ran for city council in Montgomery. But no, I tell you that since I first ran for mayor of Montgomery at 18. And I'm gonna be honest with you, my brother. My if you hear them beat the noise going off, it's people, young people, middle aged people, older people, all across the state, been just blowing up my inbox, blowing up my Facebook with pictures and videos saying I voted for Jamel J. Brown. Republicans and Democrats, white and black, the Gen Z, the Millennium, whatever Z or whatever class, they uh they all been voting. And you're right, this is electrifying. Like Alabama have never been this much excited about voting for somebody since 2008 when Obama ran. Now, I'm not a big fan of Obama now because of his policy, but then I was a big fan of Obama because he was black. I want to see a black man president. But his policies misled a lot of, but we can talk about that another time. But you're absolutely right. And people are going to leave with this today.
Yeah. And
Jamel J. Brown, Jamel J. Brown electrified the 2026 gubernatorial race hands down. There was no other person, like you said, that electrified, put it out there, and got folks out talking online, offline, and voting.
yeah, you've definitely given state politics a shot in the arm. I'll give you that. And as obviously as we talked about, I'm a conservative, and this is a conservative talk station. But I've been fascinated because I watched you from for obviously several months, and you have. I was joking earlier in the show. I went through the entire list of all the text messages I've received from political candidates across the board, and I said, if you sent me a text message, I'm not going to vote for you. I was kind of halfway joking, but like they're pretty annoying. You, as far as your campaign goes, though, I don't think you've had like yard signs or text messages or phone calls or
None
TV
of that.
commercials. You've
None
just
of that.
strictly run off social media.
Off of social media, and guess what? Did not pay one penny. So I want you to take note. I want you to take note of this young conservative Democrat, but yet independent mindset. Watch how my numbers be tonight. If I pull this off, I done change the game for politics statewide and nationwide. Not spent one penny on a shirt, not one penny on a sign, TV or radio ad, none of that. Just strictly ran a social media based campaign and traveling by my own vehicle or my security.
Yeah, it's
And
absolutely
never got
fascinating.
an endorsement payment and never asked for an endorsement. And Joe Reed them campaigning against me today with the yellow ballots, but that don't even mean anything because folks been sending me pictures of the yellow ballot, got everybody endorsed except me and Yolanda Flowers, but they still bubble Jamel Brown name in it. So we're going to see did my strategy really work. And this is something that future politicians or current politicians need to start to use.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how that turns out. Now, I do want to talk about some of your policies has been talked about over the past few months, but first, I want to discuss how you've been treated by the Democrat Party of Alabama, because as I on this show, I deal with this stuff every day. I'm constantly watching and listening and researching and whatever. And I've watched the Democrat Party, and I'm talking about the upper echelon of the Democrat Party nationally and here in Alabama. Do people within their own party do them dirty who do you feel like throughout this campaign has been your worst enemy? Like who has been the people that have been attacking you most, trying to make sure you don't get elected?
My worst enemy has not been the Republican Party, has not been white conservatives. My worst enemy has been the Democratic Party. My worst enemy has been the Alabama Democratic Conference. My worst enemy has been Democratic elected leadership across the state that has been paying people, and people out of Doug Jones' campaign has been paying folks to pull up dirt on me, to talk about my voting record for voting for Trump 3 times, which I did, but don't mean I agree with everything the president say or do. But I like the president because the president is strong, he's authentic, and he's real, and he say what the hell he want to say. And guess what? It leaves it at that. This past Saturday, the Alabama Democratic Party partnered up with Black Lives Matter, Black Voters Matter, and the same group that helped campaign for Doug Jones when he ran for Senate to beat that guy Roy Moore, and to campaign for Doug Jones again against Tuberville, but Tuberville beat Doug Jones real bad. That rally was nothing but a Doug Jones rally. And you can tell by people like Tara Sewell, who was out there on video with him, smiling like a little, I want to say the word, but I can't say it because it's radio, but she's very ignorant, because on the 5th through the 8th, you witnessed this, only one black conservative Democrat was down at the State House for 5 days, from 8 to 5, fighting for her to keep her job and Shamar Figures, and for you to turn around and endorse Doug Jones, and Doug Jones was nowhere to be found when it came to the map thing. So I believe the Republicans should go after her seat next. I believe the Republicans should redistrict her seat next, because it's ridiculous how these people act and treat us. So that's my biggest enemy. My biggest enemy is my own party that I wanted to help turn around and be the good old Democrats like we used to do back in the day, when we was for people, when we was conservative, when we was about values, when we was about something, not about women using men bathrooms and men using women bathrooms and playing in each other's sports.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say that. I was going to say, I thought I had saw you out there sticking up for Terry Sewell, and the next thing I know, she's schmoozing with Doug Jones on a video talking about he's her forever senator, and he's going to be the next governor and all that.
Soon to be governor.
Yeah.
And I fought for her job. You know how that makes me feel? I fought for her job for 5 days.
Yeah.
Didn't get paid 1 penny. Didn't get paid 1 dime. And for you to say, Doug Jones wasn't down there until the last day on that Friday for a photo op. That's it. For a photo and video op.
Well,
but I was down there fighting for your job, man.
I was going to say, if there's anything you and I can agree on, it's going to be the fact that these people in Montgomery, they scratch each other's back, and if anybody gets in the way, they're gonna steamroll them. And I figured, I didn't know this to be a fact, but I figured that that's the way you were being treated by your own party.
Yes.
So I'm not surprised by that whatsoever.
The elites, yes.
Yeah. And you say
not everybody is the elite.
You said
not everybody is the elite.
You said you voted for Trump 3 times. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. I mean,
and the reason why, because I like his realness. And Doug Jones' campaign, once again, done paid people. I noticed that he had to. That Jamel pulled all my posters up of me supporting some of Trump policies.
Yeah.
I have that freedom of choice. Senator Featherman, a white conservative, walked up to me yesterday while I was pumping gas. He said, Jamel, I'm white as you can see. And he said, I'm a conservative. And he said, you know what? You know one thing I like about you? He said, you remind me of Senator Featherman up in Washington, D.C. You speak your own mind. You have your own mind. You don't let them Democrats control you. He said, keep being that way, and that's why you earn my vote.
Yeah.
This guy was riding a dang on 2020 six Mercedes or whatever kind of foreign car he was riding good.
Right.
For him to tell me to take a picture with me, I felt honored because it's not about black and white. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about who gonna get in there and do the job. That's the same thing President Trump did to the Republican Party. The Republican Party was weak. It was going down. You and I both know this as conservatives. But President Trump came and brought light to that party. Jamel Brown is coming to the Democrat Party to bring light. And at the end of the day, win or lose, we're going to have a seat at the table. It's going to have to be some negotiating, and it's going to have to be some positioning for me at this table because my voters going to want to know where do we need to go and what do we need to do from this point forward.
Yeah.
I believe I see myself in double digits. I see myself being in a runoff. I can see myself winning without a runoff. That's how confident I am. But either way it goes, we done made history, and we got a voice and a seat at the table, and they're going to have to listen to us.
Yeah, you are.
So we don't woke up with some vote.
I like the confidence. I do. You're the youngest one in the race, right?
Yes, sir.
You're dealing
35.
with a bunch of old people. So all right. So
Yeah.
we got Will Boyd. We've got Yolanda Flowers. We got Doug Jones, obviously. Chad Chig Martin, and then who's the other? Nathan Mathis. Is that right?
Yeah, yes. 80-some years old, and he on oxygen running for governor.
That's not good. That should be a disqualifier, by the way. If you're on oxygen, you can't run for governor.
Yes, Yolanda Flowers can't barely walk.
That's not good. Well, listen, I love the confidence. I've been fascinated. I do want to ask. So early on in the campaign, I say early on. This is just a few months ago. You were posting these graphics on social media, and it was kind of like a list of what you wanted to do as governor. And some of them were, ideas that I think both sides of the aisle could probably agree on. And then there were some wild cards in there that I was just curious, your thoughts on them, if it's still a stance as part of the campaign. And I don't have them in front of me, but the first one that comes to mind is making Montgomery the strip club capital of Alabama. What's the backstory on that?
Okay, the backstory on this, and I think that I don't know why the legislator did this, but the legislator made it legal for strip clubs in Alabama without the exception of Montgomery, the capital city, where the legislator seats at. I don't know why. I didn't do my research on why they don't want a strip club in Montgomery, but if Prattville can open up a strip club that's right up the street from Montgomery, Millbrook can open up a strip club. Where you at is strip clubs there. So I was saying, for business-wise, let's bring some strippers to Montgomery, bring some strip clubs to Montgomery, because if everybody else can have strip clubs, why can't Montgomery have a strip club too? And, that was my position on that. That's it. That's all. It wasn't nothing, too big about it, that why the legislator prohibits Montgomery from having strip clubs.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, I think you should. Maybe it's because, politicians in Montgomery, they are basically whores, which, they take money in exchange for favors. So maybe they're like, hey, we just got too many hoes in this town, and we don't want to bring any strip clubs. Who knows? Maybe that's what it is.
And then after the legislative session, they probably want to, go to the strip club in Montgomery. Oh, there's a strip club down the street called Jamel Brown's Players Club. Let's run by there.
That's right.
I don't know where it could be. I don't know, but let's bring the strip club to Montgomery.
We could
I don't have to go way to Birmingham.
Jamel's Boom Boom Room right there in Montgomery.
Yeah,
My producer, John Bird, he was running for District 2 at one time, and he said, after a hard day of campaigning, that's all he wanted to do is stop by the strip club and smoke a cigar.
That's right.
So,
Hey, look, I agree with you, brother. Let's do it one day, because After this is over, I'm going up to Columbus and visit me a strip club and smoke a cigar and take me a couple shots of some Don Julio and say woosah.
You also said something about at the governor's mansion. What was it? Thirsty Thursday, maybe twerking
Yeah,
Tuesday. Are we gonna do
yeah.
that?
I'm still gonna do that, and this is the reason why. The president is a man of party. He liked the party. That's why he did a great news special today about the East Ballroom being built. We need to have some fun in Alabama, and I'm big on that. If the governor's mansion is a place that I'm gonna be staying at, I want to use the yard, use the facilities, not at the taxpayer expense, but by private donors and stuff, and have some parties, have some cookouts, have some, different events and stuff that y'all two can come and, drink and have some cigars with me and just, put some meat on the grill.
Hey man, we might do that actually. That sounds like a good.
I like that.
That kind of sounds like a good time. Well, cool. Jamal, thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it. It's just again, I've been fascinated by the
Right.
by the campaign, and
And
we've been
before
talking
you
about it.
end the call, listen, before you end the call, George Wallace, who I really like, they're going to beat me up for saying this. I think one of the best governors that Alabama has ever had. I have my reasons. But you remember him and his wife was very famous for having a lot of parties at the governor's mansion, and they was turning up. So I want to do like Governor Wallace and President Trump do. We turn up Alabama.
There you go, man. That's wild. Well, all right, he's on the ballot today, Jamel Jermaine Brown. If you want to get a
you.
Democrat ticket, vote for Jamel. Y'all do it, man. Best of luck to you, and thanks for taking
you
time,
all
brother.
too, so much.
All
Appreciate
right.
you, brother.
There it
Thank
is.
you. Bye-bye.
Jamel Brown, the guy we've been talking about for all this time. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect him to make that much sense.
Unbelievable.
That is not what I expected at all. I expected like these kooky policies. And listen, he acts outlandish on his social media. There's no doubt. Like, he acts a fool sometimes. A lot of times. Usually depending on how late it is.
But is that getting attention? And then he can talk, then he can talk policy?
But it is,
Good gosh.
Here's the thing. It's like there was, I did feel like that this was not a real campaign for him, and it was just to build his social media, which he was doing a fantastic job at doing. He was garnering a ton of attention. But he kind of knows what he's talking about. I mean, he's not going around and just blowing smoke up people's backside, and talking to him was actually more entertaining than it would have been talking to, Nathan Mathis while he's on his oxygen machine, or, whoever. So, listen, take it for what. At the end of the day, it's Tommy Tuberville's race to lose. Tommy Tuberville's going to be our next governor. But you got to admit, it was pretty entertaining to hear from that guy. Change my pitch up. ProLift Doors. ProLiftDoors.com. Mike Miller, my buddy, who is part of the Talk 99.5 family, been a part of the fam for a long time. And he's out there fixing garage doors, man. If you got garage doors on your house, your 2, your 3-car garage, your barn, your roll-ups, whatever, man. Sometimes those things go out. Sometimes springs break. Sometimes motors go out. You need, sometimes you just need panels replaced. Sometimes your wife, who might be a bad driver, ends up driving through the garage door on accident. Who knows? Anything could happen. Maybe you just want to change it. Maybe you want something that looks a little nicer on the house. Whatever it may be, ProLift Doors can do that for you. Whatever you need, man. Get in touch with them, especially those new ones. The new motors, pretty much silent. You can't even hardly hear them. They don't shake the whole house. Those are a thing of beauty. Get your hands on some of that, baby. ProLiftDoors.com is the website. Give him a call. Make sure you tell him I sent you. Mike's a buddy of mine. He's going to take care of you. 205-346-8465. That's 205-346-8465. ProLiftDoors.com. J.D. Vance just took to the podium since Caroline Leavitt's on maternity leave. I guess they're just swapping it all around. He's going to be talking about fighting fraud and everything else. So we may dip into that, especially if he's going to take questions. I think that might be interesting. But I'm interested in hearing what the audience thinks as far as Jamel Brown. I mean, again, this is Tommy Tupperville's race. There's nobody in the field that's going to be able to beat him. But hearing from Jamel is fascinating. And honestly, I wish him the best of luck. I think he's I think just trying to, now that I've talked to him, I think what he's attempting to do is to be outlandish to get the attention. And whether or not this is ultimately about, part of me wants to say it's not about just growing his social media, because he has a history of being in and invested in politics, And
I think it's a big, I don't want to say FU, but a big shout out to the Democratic Party that you're so far off the rails.
Yeah, it is a middle finger to the Democrat Party, and that's why I give him credit. But he's also, he's got some of those Democrat Party things, but I don't think he's not just blindly following the Democrat Party. Of course, he's against the redistricting that the Supreme Court ruled on. He's against, I'm sure, some other things that as conservatives we support, but it sounds like that on the other side of things, I mean, he might be for more conservative things than people expect. Who knows, man? But there was a lot of things. I didn't have time. I couldn't have kept him on the phone for an hour, but there were several things I wanted to talk about: the minimum wage stuff, the time off of work, all this stuff that you're not going to be able to accomplish as governor. And I forgot to ask him about his girlfriend and whether or not she's considered a stripper and when he's going to propose to her.
Yeah, I think you were kind of in shock like me that this stuff continued to make sense.
I know, he kind of threw me off,
Yeah.
and that was the problem. Boomer, following up earlier, says 198 pounds of cocaine found hidden in Kim Kardashian brand underwear. That's what he was talking about earlier.
Oh, I apologize, Boomer.
He said a truck driver was sentenced to over 13 years in prison for smuggling $9.4 million worth of cocaine in a shipment of Skims, Kim Kardashian's shapewear brand.
Dang.
So now we know. All right, let me go through the text real quick. Alien, people talk about Alien. Tommy says I call BS on all the alien crap. Brian says those descriptions are straight off of a show called Resident Alien.
Oh, I love that show.
Is it a good show?
It's a very good show. And actually, he's right. All of the aliens in that show are just what you described, the 4 categories.
Justin said, I read that they crash because different species fight with each other and try to kill each other. That would be pretty wild to have space wars.
Yeah, it would be. That'd be a good plot for a movie.
Let's see. Here's all the alien stuff. I'm trying to get through that. God, man, there's a lot of alien stuff I missed out on. Oh, there's suggestions. Okay, here we go. Craig says, I like Jamel. Listen to him. I'm pulling for him. Not going to vote for him, but I am pulling for him. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing the guy do well. Just as that middle finger to the Democrat
and
Party.
And if he won, could you imagine how stunned the Democrats would be?
Yeah, dude, Tommy Tuberville versus Jamel Brown. And I would say, there's like Doug Jones supporters and stuff like are incredibly angry about this guy because they view him as a joke and they think he's going to railroad their chances. I hate to break it to him, but Doug Jones doesn't stand a chance against Tommy Tuberville, so everybody's just being delusional. David says he's got my vote. Anything to poke my finger into both parties' eyes. Trucker Bobby says, I agree, he made more sense than I thought he was going to. Still not going to vote for him, though. Thomas says, if I lived in Alabama, I would vote for him.
There you go, Thomas.
Jeff says, can you imagine how the debates would go between this guy and Tuberville? That would be worth tuning into. I agree. Houston says, he's an idiot.
Plain and simple, straight to the point.
Straight to the point. I like it. I'm going to go to J.D. Vance here in a moment. First, let me squeeze in Richard the Cop. Richard, what's up, buddy?
Just got out of getting my toe amputated.
Oh, geez.
How you feeling?
Oh, we're getting out at Taco Mama. It's time to eat.
Oh, dang.
Are you high right now?
I was. They shot me up with the stuff, and I made sure the anesthesiologist to put me under good because sometimes I come out of that stuff pretty quick. And they did it at 9:30, and at 10:30, I sat up in the recovery room shaking my head like a dog trying to shake it off.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept me about another hour and released me, and I haven't eaten since midnight, so I'm about to mow down some protein.
Oh,
Dang.
yeah.
How about that, man?
Be off work for a week, so if my wife doesn't commit suicide in the next week, it'll be a miracle.
Wow. Let's hope she doesn't. That's pretty good, man. You just
talk about outpatient, man.
Yeah, get a body part amputated and you're out in an hour. That's pretty good.
Well, they snipped the very first joint of that toe off. The first time I had one done, I was in the hospital 3 weeks because I had to learn how to walk because a big toe is a balance toe. The second one I was in for a week, and both of those were in Oklahoma. But Brent Haverstock is a podiatrist at UAB that did the surgery, and you couldn't ask for a better group of folks, man. Just probably a week off from work, go back to see him next week, and walk out the back door and get back in the car.
How about that?
So it's just a matter of time. The hardest part for me was you can't eat after midnight, right?
Yeah.
And by this time of the day, I'm used to having 250 grams of protein in me. So I got up at midnight, made me a couple of peanut butter sandwiches, and drank me 2 big Powerades and went back to bed. And so I haven't had anything but one Diet Coke after surgery since. And, that's the hard part on me is fasting for this stuff.
Yeah.
But, hey, Bird, how's your keto going?
I'm back on it. No, but seriously, when I'm out eating and everything, I really lean heavily on protein, and I'm staying pretty much staying away from carbs. So I'm doing good. It's tempting when when you go out. But I'm doing okay.
Today's day 51 on keto for me.
Dude, killing it.
I lost 22 pounds from November to February, just keeping my blood sugar in check. And I'm down another 19, 20 pounds on the keto. And I'm 289 pounds today, and I was 330 on November the 14th.
Man, that is huge.
Well, the doctors changed one of my medicines, so I'm about to start GLP-1 Trulicity. And he said, with you sticking your finger and with you doing the keto and this, he goes, you'll probably lose another 75, 80 pounds.
You be a stud muffin then.
Dude, I ain't weighed 175 since I was 14. I ain't weighed 255 since the day I graduated the police academy in 1990, when Andrew was still pushing his tricycle around. But it's, it's like everybody's like, well, you're having a serious surgery. I said, no, it's not. It's a snip, a tuck, a stitch, and a go home.
Yeah. And nobody can handle that better than Richard the Cop.
My third rodeo, brother.
That's right.
JB?
Yeah, man.
I think, how's your new 27-year-old girlfriend?
Oh, God.
No.
All right, Richard.
Come on, Richard. Richard say anything.
All right. Well,
no, I'm saying if you're that old and can attract something that young, go, boy, go.
Richard's high.
We're friends.
Roll Tide, y'all.
All right, see you, Richard. He's high.
Morgan, if you're listening, I apologize. I mean, we're friends. She's really cool. She's part of the Hey Now Nation.
He's coming off of the morphine. As soon as he was, once he started asking questions, I'm like, Richard, I gotta go.
Watch out. Yeah.
I got some time constraints here. All right, so JD Vance is taking questions. You tell me, John Bird, do I have to take a break or can we go to this?
I'd like you to go ahead and take a break since with Jamel we
Let's
didn't.
do that. Let's take a break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll give you some of this JD Vance taking questions from the presses. They're going to be talking about Iran. They're going to be talking about fraud. They're going to be talking about a lot of things right here on the line, live from the White House. Wait, we're not at the White House, but
Not us.
he is. We're in Homewood. All right, back after this. Just to give you a sample of Jamel's social media, he's just posting stuff left and right on both of his pages on his Facebook. I don't know what his Instagram or if he's got an X account or whatever it looks like, but it's just constant activity on his Facebooks. And somebody posted, "Damn, so y'all was for real about voting for that Jamel dude? Like, kind of like, I can't believe y'all are voting for him." And it says hashtag on my stepdaddy. And he puts in all caps as he reposted. He puts in all caps, "On your stepdaddy and stepmama, you blocked." He goes around blocking people like crazy, which again, to his credit, no other political candidate would go around blocking people because you're essentially eliminating potential votes, right? You want as many people to be able to see your stuff as possible, I would imagine. But anyway. What a character. All right, let's go live to the press briefing room just to hear what J.D. Vance, he's taking questions from reporters. Let's see what he's got to say.
Negotiation. That is not currently our plan. That has never been our plan. I've seen some reporting on that. I don't know where it comes from, but the president's going to continue to negotiate a deal. So that is not currently the plan of the United States government. The Iranians have not raised it. My sense is that's not something the Iranians would be particularly excited about. And I know the president isn't particularly excited about it either, but who knows? I'm not going to make pre-commitments in a negotiation on any particular topic. On the question of fentanyl, a lot of people have died from fentanyl. Absolutely. A lot of it has come from mainland China. We're certainly aware of that. But here's what I'll say. First of all, we've made incredible strides under Donald Trump's leadership to cut down on fentanyl deaths. If you look at the number of people who died in 2026, it's going to be lower than the number who died in 2025, which is way lower than the number who died in 2024. This is one of the things that I think all Americans, we should be celebrating. And I'm certainly proud of the president's leadership for making this possible. We ran, if you remember, in November of 2024 on a very simple idea that a lot of fentanyl came from East Asia. It was smuggled into Central and South America, and then the cartels would bring it into our country, and a lot of our people would get poisoned and killed because of it. We said if you got control of the southern border, we would see a substantial reduction in the number of people who died from fentanyl overdoses in the United States of America, and that is exactly what's happened. Now, yes, the president has raised this with President Xi any number of times. I know it came up during the meeting that they had in China just last week, but it's come up in any number of phone calls, and our sense is that President Xi has been willing to work with us on this, and obviously we want to continue to ensure that the Chinese work with us as much as possible because we don't want our people to be poisoned. So we'll keep working on that issue with the Chinese. There's been, I think, a big amount of progress that's been made, but of course we can make a lot more progress, and we're certainly going to be committed to doing exactly that. Right. Yeah.
Me?
White jacket. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. Natalie with Washington
Natalie,
Post.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice President. Does the government need to create a new mandatory review process for new AI models, given the concerns about Mythos? And secondly, in a few days, Pope Leo is going to release his encyclical on artificial intelligence. What influence, if any, do you see the Pope's guidance on AI having to broader society?
Well, I mean, I think when the Pope issues an encyclical on artificial intelligence, it's going to have some influence. I, of course, don't know how much influence. I don't know exactly what it's going to say. But I think when the leader of the world's largest Christian denomination speaks on an issue like that, it's certainly going to have some influence. And I'm sure it'll contain a lot of insights, some of which I'll probably agree with, some of which I may not. But I think that it's going to be a very, very important document. And I think that, one of the things I always found fascinating about Pope Leo is that he chose the name Leo XIV, which, of course, is recollecting Leo XIII. Leo XIII was the Pope during a period of incredible industrial transformation in the entire world. Of course, that industrial transformation, according to a lot of people, led to the rise of fascism and communism in Europe. I think it was interesting that Leo XIV chose that name to maybe apply Christian social teaching in a new era with a new technological innovation in the same way that the Industrial Revolution was the technological innovation of its time. So I think it'll be fascinating. I'm looking forward to reading it. My guess is it's going to have a lot of influence. On the question of what our policy is going to be, look, what we're trying to do in the Trump administration is very simple. The president wants us to be pro-innovation. He wants us to win the AI race against all other countries in the world. He recognizes that AI is going to be an important tool, not just for our economy, but for our military. And so he wants to ensure that we are winning that particular race. We also want to make sure sure that we're protecting people. We're protecting people's data. We're protecting people's privacy. I think with this Mythos release, one of the things that we're very focused on, of course, is whether not necessarily the developers of Mythos, but whether some other bad actor could use Mythos to target various cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So it's something that right now we're working in a collaborative way with the technology companies, and we're just trying to make sure that the American people are as safe as possible. I'm not going to get ahead of the executive order or any other actions that are going to come out, but we're trying to balance those two things. We want to be pro-innovation. We recognize, I mean, artificial intelligence could be great. It could help us find cures to diseases that currently, people are dying from or suffering from. It also does have some downsides, and we're trying to balance that safety against innovation. And we think that we've got the right balance here in the Trump administration, but it's something we're going to have to keep on working on because that's just the nature of these technologies is they certainly change. Let's go. Is that Reagan all the way in the back? Daily Caller? There we go. Okay.
Awesome.
I figured out finally how the seating chart works.
Great. I want to ask you about the anti-fraud task force. You previously mentioned that Ilhan Omar seemed to have committed immigration fraud. Do you anticipate an indictment against her, an indictment related to that situation?
Yeah, so Reagan, I don't want to prejudge an investigation. I mean, you read the things about Ilhan Omar and about, who she married and whether she didn't marry this person or that person. It certainly seems like something fishy is there, but everybody's entitled to equal justice under the laws. So we're going to investigate it. We're going to take a look at it. If we think that there's a crime, we're going to prosecute that crime. And that's something the Department of Justice is looking at right now.
Mr. Western.
Go ahead.
Based on what you've seen during your work on this anti-fraud task force, do you believe anything should change about our immigration or refugee policies to stop fraud in the United States?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, one thing I'd say is that the biggest immigration fraud that existed under the Biden administration, it's not just that they let a flood of people across the southern border. That was obviously a very major problem and something I'm proud of the president for stopping. But it's also that they allowed the asylum and refugee claimant process to become totally fraudulent. And so here's what would happen, right? You would
J.D.
take
Vance is just
in normal cases,
a smooth brother.
He knows his stuff.
He's a smooth dude. He's just literally just taking questions about anything and everything. And he's on top of it. So good for him. That's why he's a favorite for 2028, without a doubt.